you back after school. That's a commitment.
It is a
parents make
commitment,
to you.
absolutely. And that's part of the reason, for my book is, it's also a thank you to, of course, my family and the fans who have stuck with my part with Randy and I, for 50 years. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying 50 years, but the loyalty of the fans, and through all of my, my life has been a roller coaster.
A life well lived should be a roller coaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
I came through the fire. I survived the madness. Came close back in the 80s to just calling it a day. But knew in my heart I still had a lot left to do. We can get into that. I mean, that's the dark side of my story.
Now, you being an Olympian and a champion, world, figure skating, U.S. and world, that really put a focus in you, especially being born and raised here in Los Angeles,
yes.
home of the
oh my God.
industry. So
we were in it from the beginning.
So what was your first transitional from going from sports to entertainment? Which, again, it is entertainment.
Absolutely.
But off the ice, let's say.
Off the ice?
Or
probably
entertainment on the ice.
Yeah. Well, it happened, like you said, we're being in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, it's like you're surrounded by it. You almost can't get away from it. You're exposed to everything. And I was exposed to so much at a young age. I mean, in 1976, we were still amateur skaters, which you don't see anymore. No one's an amateur anymore. We weren't allowed to receive a paycheck in 1976. Now, skaters, everyone makes money. We were true amateurs.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait, champion figure skating, that was considered amateur?
Yes.
Olympians?
Yes.
Oh my
We were
God.
We were pure athletes.
So how were you supposed to make a living?
Well, that's why my dad worked 3 jobs. LAPD, head of security at Paramount Studios, a bodyguard for Scott Baio, all to support me. And my mom was a wonderful housemaker. But yeah, and we weren't rich. And we got, little money from certain foundations, and we had a sponsor. But basically, it was my parents. It was my dad. So, yeah. So in 1976, I'm jumping ahead, we placed 5th in the 76 Olympics, which was really good. And then you start getting the calls from Hollywood. And that year we got a call from Flip Wilson. Do you remember? You know who that is? Yeah, the comedian. Comedian. To do one of his specials. TV specials starring Richard Pryor.
Oh my God.
I was 16. Minnie Riperton. They're gone. Actor Alex Karras, pro football player, and Peggy Fleming, and then Randy, myself. Fleming. So yeah, so we, the exposure, and just once again, I watched and I learned from the best. So to see Richard Pryor and Flip Wilson bantering, going off script on this one skit, it was fascinating. And I'm just sitting there, just like taking it in, as a 16-year-old, and learning. And then the funny thing was, like I said, we were not allowed to receive a paycheck. So Flip knew this, because if we took any money, we'd be disqualified from amateur competition. I know, it's crazy, and it's so different now. So Flip knew this, and he said, "Well, since I can't pay you. Here are 2 of the Siberian Huskies that I used in the skit with Richard Pryor. Here's your, So he gave me a husky. I named him Flip, and he gave Randy a husky. Randy named his Geraldine. And, once again, I'll write about all this in detail. But it was experiences like that. And then, once again, jumping ahead, after the 1980 Olympics, when we turned professional and we're making, signed a big contract, and here's where the touring days start. I'm sure we've played so many of the same arenas. But when you sign with Ice Capades, our contract was 3 years, 9 months straight, 2 weeks off at Christmas, show every day. I think we had Mondays off to travel. That's when that's when you're a real professional. And that's when you're allowed, you start making the money, and that's where my bad habits started.
Ooh.
That's where the drinking started.
Ooh, so it's pretty much like being in a rock band.
It was total rock band / circus / star of a skating show. We were the stars of the ice capades. So it's that along with all the press, it was culture shock. From going from a very contained environment of all you have to do is skate to now you're going to be on the road for 9 months out of the year, and if you don't fend for yourself, there's no one else to.
How old were you then?
I turned 21 on a bus from Pittsburgh to somewhere, so I was early 20s.
20s.
Yeah, but young upstairs.
Yeah.
And and just I hadn't lived life. So those 3 years I was on the road with the #1 skating show were like my high school years. Yeah. And I would, the loneliness, the who do I trust around me, and everyone wants to be your friend, and all of that, which, it's either you stay on the train or jump off.
Yeah, that's interesting when you say trust, because
I
imagine that if you're on that type of tour, the people that get signed up, you have no control of.
No.
So it could be people that you were competing against who were actually mean to you at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
That there's still some bad blood between you guys.
Yes, it's like, well, why is she getting so much attention? It's like, well, we worked hard and we made it as amateurs, and so it was just, and I was such a loner because, like I said, I didn't know who to trust, so I just went off by myself and, had a hard time sleeping. And it's so funny. Someone suggested, try a glass of wine. And I wasn't a drinker. That's how it all started. A simple glass of wine.
I could have told you melatonin. Melatonin.
Yeah, no. It was all about alcohol, and it was it was everyone else was doing.
I know.
And I just not
you were
knowing.
Drinking Pouilly Foussé at the time, because that's
a big one. Yes, that was so big. Yes.
The wine of
that nice pretty bottle. Yeah. And it with me not knowing I had an addictive personality. It started with a simple glass, and that glass turned into 2 glasses. That then turned into a bottle in my dressing room, and that's typical. But that's how it started.
Do you think the average champion, and I know, average and champion, but the typical champion has an addictive personality?
I think so. Absolutely. Addicted to this.
Oh, interesting.
More of that. So we love all that.
It's not inward as far as your accomplishment, that you feel like that you have reached a certain level, you keep pushing yourself because you're not competing against each other, but it is that adoration of the public.
Absolutely. That's the best, to me, that's the best drug in the whole world, is applause and recognition and attention.
Interesting.
And skaters, well, I think most athletes, we love the attention. It's what we were used to.
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting, because, you get the adoration and, people clapping for you because you have probably performed at your peak. It was
right.
In order to
Absolutely.
become a champion.
Yes.
Musically, unless you're in a jazz or progressive musical situation, I would say that most musicians I know, they play underneath their caliber of their musicianship. Oh yeah.
What?
We play.
Do you? No.
I would say most of the time I do.
Why?
And I'll tell you why. Because we are servicing the song. We're playing for the song. If we play our competitive, our highest level of musicianship, of course there's certain musicianship that you have to apply in order to be articulate.
Yeah.
And the choice of notes and all of that. But most of us, we are Lamborghini stuck on the freeway, on gridlock.
That's so good.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God, that's perfect.
We are not playing at our maximum speed.
And is that also because you don't want to overpower the lead person?
No.
Oh.
No, because you're playing for what the song needs. Most of the times, What
So
the
interesting.
song needs is just these accompaniment. You know, like if you watch a movie, think of us. There's a script,
yes,
and there's a soundtrack that supports the emotion,
right,
of what's going on in the script.
Yeah,
a song is the same thing. You have the lyrics,
mm-hmm.
and as a matter of fact, the most progressive music does not really have singing.
Right.
You know,
right.
Unless it's the jazz singer
yes.
that is using their voice as what it is, an instrument.
Yeah.
But that's jazz. That's completely different from what I do with rock.
Got it. Okay,
know?
I get it. I get it.
So it's
that is fascinating.
Yeah. So to me, I could be on stage and people are going bananas.
Yes.
And I am glad that the song connected, but not necessarily that I, as a musician, have made them go crazy. Because I know.
Do you still do that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, when do you let it out?
You mean
when do you go to that level of
when I am alone?
Okay.
Yeah.
When you're alone.
Because I'm not playing for anybody. Well, I'm playing for God.
Right. Right.
know?
Right.
You know, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But I'm playing actually to please myself, my inward self.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I understand.
And there's a certain level of musicianship that I'm at right now that very few people ever know, because it's not displayed, because it doesn't fit what I do as my in my career. I am not going to become a jazz musician. That's a whole certain journey that you must take when you're younger.
Yeah.
Well, my age, I am not going to become a jazz musician.
Right.
But that does not mean that I do not aspire to personally become a better musician. And to me, the highest level of music is either classical or jazz, and they're both theoretically intertwined.
Right. Fascinating. That it is fascinating to me that you played. What? How did you say you play? Not played under. You played. What was the word you just said?
Yeah, I mean, it is.
So you don't go for it. You don't like go.
No, emotionally I do. As a performer, I do. You know, that's why I started playing upside down and doing all that stuff, because it was easy.
Right.
It was easy for me to put the bass on my head and go boom, 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 boom. You know, it was,
right.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I was making a joke of it. It just gave me. So to me, I see being a musician as a circle.
Yes.
A circle.
Yes.
And let's say if you have a pie, if you cut a slice, and let's say the musicianship that you are expected is 30% of the pie. That's a whole 70% of the pie that I must apply to my performance.
Got it.
And that's where it goes. Certain bands I performed less than others.
Ooh.
Depending on the complexity of the music.
Right. Interesting.
You know, but
interesting.
I put my heart into it.
Always.
Not just my heart. I get inside, and I'm sure you've done this. When you skate and you hear the music, you're inside that.
Oh yeah, you're in that zone. You're in that. You're in it. You're in it.
You're in it.
And sometimes it takes a few hours after to come out of it. You know, you know that
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And you're either in it or you're out of it.
Right. See, and that's where my problem, and still not a problem, but it's on the road. I didn't know I needed to pace myself. I had no idea how to pace myself. You know, because when you're competing, you have 3 competitions or 3 or 4 big competitions a year. So, and you know exactly when to peak for that last big one, say the Olympics or World Championship. On the road, I was going for, I got to be great every night. And it was, I couldn't, I physically couldn't. No one can be great every night. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall. And it was so hard for me to learn that I couldn't be perfect every night. It was damaging, because that's what I was going for, because that's what I was used to as an amateur, to be the best that I could be. And once you're on the road and sometimes doing 3 shows